The night of the concert was supposed to be perfect. I'd spent weeks planning it, buying the tickets early, imagining how much fun it would be to watch her favorite band live. She had been talking about them since we first met, and I thought it would be the kind of memory we'd hold on to forever. I pictured us singing side by side, my arm around her, her voice mixing with mine as the crowd roared. From the moment we arrived, everything felt electric. The arena was alive, bright lights, people buzzing with excitement, the smell of street food outside mixing with the cold night air. She held my hand as we walked in, her eyes glowing with that childlike excitement that always made me feel lucky. Her best friend tagged along, too. The guy she's known since school, the one she always insists is like a brother. I'd never said much about him, even though deep down he made me uncomfortable. They shared inside jokes, laughed easily, had memories that stretched back years before I ever came into the picture. Still, I trusted her. I told myself it was harmless, that their bond didn't take away from ours. The first half of the concert was everything I'd hoped. We sang until our voices cracked. We danced, even though the space was tight. And every now and then she turned to me with that smile that said she was exactly where she wanted to be. I lived for that smile. Then the crowd surged forward, blocking our view of the stage. People taller than us raised their phones, waving their arms, and suddenly it was hard to see anything at all. She turned to her best friend, laughed, and before I could even process what was happening, she tapped his shoulder. "Hey, lift me up!" she shouted over the music, and just like that, she climbed onto his shoulders. The crowd cheered. Strangers clapped and laughed, pointing at her as she waved her arms in the air, swaying with the beat. She laughed too, a wild, free sound that carried over the music. He held her steady, his hands gripping her legs like it was the most natural thing in the world. And me? I froze. Everyone around us was laughing, enjoying the moment, but my stomach twisted. It wasn't just that she was on his shoulders. It was what it meant. She chose him, not me. She looked alive up there, glowing with happiness. And I was just another face in the crowd, watching. I clenched my fists at my sides, trying to convince myself it was nothing, that it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing, that it didn't mean what it felt like it meant. But no matter how I tried, I couldn't shake the image. The girl I loved, high above the crowd, not because of me, but because of him. When she finally climbed down, breathless and smiling, she turned to me, her eyes shining. "Did you see that?" she asked, grinning like a kid. I forced a smile. "Yeah," I said. "I saw." She didn't notice the stiffness in my voice. She slipped her hand into mine, but it didn't feel the same. The rest of the concert blurred past. I barely heard the songs. I just kept replaying the moment in my head. On the way home, she leaned against me in the back seat of his car, still humming the band's songs. She looked so happy, so satisfied. Meanwhile, I stared out the window, silent. When we got to my place, she kissed me goodnight, sweet and soft, as if nothing was wrong. But as soon as the door closed behind me, the weight I'd been holding in all night crushed me. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. Her laughter, the way his hands had held her legs, the way the crowd had cheered. I thought about the fact that she didn't even consider asking me. She didn't turn to her boyfriend, the man who had planned this night for her. She turned to him. That question tore at me. Why him, and not me? Over the next few days, I tried to push it aside. I told myself not to be insecure, not to overthink, but every time I looked at her, the memory surfaced. I'd picture her on his shoulders, laughing like she was on top of the world, and the ache in my chest returned. Finally, one evening, I couldn't hold it in anymore. We were sitting on my couch, her head on my shoulder, scrolling through the photos people had posted from the concert. She laughed when she found one of herself, waving her arms in the air on his shoulders. "Look at me," she said proudly, and that was it. I couldn't stay silent. Why didn't you ask me? I said quietly. She turned to me, confused. What do you mean? At the concert, I said, my voice tighter than I intended. Why did you go on his shoulders and not mine? She blinked, then laughed nervously. Oh, come on. You're not serious, are you? It was just for fun. I am serious, I replied. You didn't even look at me. You just went to him. Do you know how that felt? Her smile faded. It didn't mean anything. He's been my best friend forever. It was a spur-of-the-moment thing. Exactly, I said. And in that moment, you chose him, not me. Silence hung between us. She looked at me, eyes narrowing slightly, as if she couldn't believe I was making an issue of it. You're overthinking, she said finally. You're being jealous for no reason. Maybe I was. Maybe it was just jealousy. But the hurt was real, and it wasn't going away. For days after that, things felt strained. We still talked, still went out, still smiled for each other, but there was a shadow between us. Every time she mentioned her best friend, I felt the sting again. Every time I remembered her laughter that night, it cut deeper. One night, I found myself lying awake, staring at her sleeping beside me. She looked peaceful, her chest rising and falling with each breath. I reached out to brush her hair back, and the thought struck me. Did she even realize how much power she had over me? How one choice, one moment, had left me questioning everything. Love is supposed to be about trust. I trusted her, I still did. But trust doesn't erase feelings. Trust doesn't erase the ache of watching the person you love look happier on someone else's shoulders than they ever did on yours. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe the moment really meant nothing. But to me, it meant everything. And that's when I realized something about relationships. Sometimes it isn't betrayal or lies that hurt the most. Sometimes it's the little things. The moments when you're reminded that no matter how much someone loves you, they can still make choices that cut you deeply. Choices that remind you they had a world before you, a bond with others that you'll never quite replace. The concert should have been one of the best nights of our lives. Instead, it became a memory I couldn't escape. Even now, when I think back, I remember the music, the lights, the crowd. But above all, I remember her laughter, high above me, carried not by me, but by him. And that memory lingers, a shadow I can't shake. Because in that moment, I wasn't the one lifting her up.